Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Poland Daily History. I'm your host, Benjamin Lee, and today we are at the Warsaw Royal Castle, located in the Castle Square within the Warsaw Old Town. It is a historical structure that houses royalties throughout the dynasties and has been with Poland through thick and thin. We will be talking with a historian that specializes in the history of the Warsaw Castle, and we will be exploring the different facades of the magnificent structure. So join us and let's go on a journey. Ladies and gentlemen, today we are here with Ignacy Mościcki, a historian that specializes in the royal castle behind us. And I was wondering if I can ask you some questions specifically today about the construction of the castle. Because the first thing I noticed as soon as I stepped in is the very peculiar way of construction. It seems to have like a mismatch of style, and even though it is one structure, it seems to have been built differently. And I was wondering, what was the decision behind making such a drastic difference in terms of constructions?
Dzień dobry, witam Państwa. Oczywiście zamek, który widzimy dzisiaj, jest
The castle we see today is of course the result of a construction, but also the decisions of its subsequent owners, various kings of the Polish Republic, the various rulers who decided to make changes to it. What you can see behind us is one of the oldest elements of the castle, the big tower, the Grodzka Tower, which, as can be seen in the lower part, is built from raw brick and integrated into the castle structure. Subsequent renovations and reconstructions tried to make use of previous elements and combine everything together in a harmonious way. Today's appearance is also the result of catering to education and the intention of showing tourists visiting Warsaw as many historical layers of the castle as possible. Unfortunately, we aren't able to show the oldest layer, which was here from the beginning. It's difficult to talk about pre-14th century Warsaw. Warsaw was born at the turn of the 13th century into the 14th. Its shape and the way it presented itself as a city is down to the Piast Prince Bosław II, who placed his castle on a high slope made of wood and surrounded by an earth and wood rampart. Due to the instability of common materials at that time of construction, whether it be the castle or city structures, we don't have relics from that period. Well, that isn't strictly true, because if you dig a little deeper, as our archaeologists have done, one can find relics and fragments from the wood and earth rampart. We don't know exactly when the castle was built, nor do we know if it was built simultaneously with the city. It is believed it could have been created 20 years earlier. Why was it built in this place? Because it looked over crossings on the Vistula River. The main royal headquarters were not located in Warsaw at that time. The main headquarters were located in Jazdów, Czersk and also Płock. But because of the favourable conditions to cross the river in this place, a need arose to guard the trade route. So Prince Bolesław decided to make a wooden castle here, and this castle got joined to the city very quickly. So it can be said that the Warsaw Castle was embedded in the structure of the city form from the beginning. It's an inseparable element of Warsaw's architecture. We also don't know exactly when Warsaw received its city rights, but looking at the street layout, it can be concluded that it was purposely located on German law. The regularity of the street layout of Old Warsaw tells us this. It would help to actually say where we are. We're in Masovia, which was independent for a very long time. After the period of district breakdown in the 14th century, when successive rulers tried to unite the Piast kingdoms, Masovia did not enter the reborn crown of the Kingdom of Poland. Władysław, the elbow high, wasn't the king of Masovia. It was ruled by younger members of a side family line of the Piast dynasty, and this remained until the 1520s, when the local line of Piast royals died out. Masovia was very strictly tied to the crown economically and politically. It was a fief of the Polish king, but still an independent kingdom. Those viewers who have come into contact with the works of one of our top writers, Henryk Sienkiewicz, may know the book or film Krzyżacy, Teutonic Knights. It's the story of Poland's struggle with the order of the so-called Teutonic Knights, the Knights of the Hospital of St. Mary of the Teutons in Jerusalem, who were, at the beginning of the 13th century, placed in Masovia to protect the kingdom from an attack by the pagan Prussians. They performed their mission so well that they obtained not only the land of pagan tribes, but also looking at Polish lands. At one point, they took Pomerania, Kujawia, and threatened Lithuania. In the moment, Władysław Jagiełło took the throne beside Jadwiga and Jagiełłenka. There was no way to avoid battle of these areas. Going back to the story, Prince Janusz I appears in this film. He was married to Princess Danuta Ania, who also appears in this film. This couple was responsible for another extension of the castle. They built the royal manor house, known as the Bigger Manor House. Kuria Mea is part of the castle that has Gothic elements. In reality, we don't know much about what happened in Warsaw during the Piast dynasty. We don't have many historical sources. We know for sure that in 1339, here in Masovia, on the neutral ground of the independent kingdom, there was a papal arbitration process requested by Casimir the Great in his dispute with the Teutonic Knights, who had, at the beginning of the 14th century, unlawfully taken Pomerania and Kujawia. Casimir the Great knew he wouldn't be able to compete with the powerful order militarily, so he appealed to the authority of the Catholic Church, the authority of the Pope. Pope sent his messengers, his legal commissioners, and here in the city of Warsaw, in what would be difficult to call a castle yet, but in the big manor house, Kuria Manor, the papal arbitration process took place, which issued a judgment favourable to Poland. The Teutonic Knights were ordered to return to the lands and make compensation payments. Unfortunately, there wasn't a way to enforce this ruling.
Nakazał Krzyżakom zwrot zagarniętych ziem, wypłatę odszkodowania. No niestety nie udało się tego wyroku wyegzekwować, pomimo późniejszych zabiegów również na soborach.